Hello, 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 friends, and welcome to something different for once. This is not a fully gay romance story. This is There's Nothing Left for Us Here by Chance McGuire. And yeah, before I dive in, this is not fully MM romance. There is a hint of MM romance, if you could take it like that, but I do want to go through this real quick. I changed a little bit here. There's going to be a lot that is different because I don't want to spoil a lot here. So I am going to be doing a fully no spoiler review, unless you count the back of the book and characters as some kind of spoiler per se. Yeah. I don't go over the plot. I don't touch on anything that happens in the book. I will go through the tropes, so that might also be considered a spoiler, and also my rankings. So I will hopefully not spoil much, but this is different. This is, I would say, a wholly like a mystery book. Like I have Agatha Christie books. I wouldn't review those per se because there's a mystery there. There's a element of figuring things out. So, but in order to make this review somewhat comprehensible and understandable, I did want to include things like the plot synopsis on the back, the characters and names you'll be going through, and their relevance or relation to one another. And then the tropes, because I'm a big trope fan. So I wanted to touch on those and touch on this specifically because there's not going to be much plot to go through. This might be a very, very short video. This might be a snappy 5-6 minute video. So let's dive in then. So the cast of characters in the book, we have Aster North. He is our main protagonist. We have Tom North, who is the missing brother of Aster. We have Kyle Everett, Aster's deadbeat ex, controlling deadbeat ex. We have Grace Jones, Aster's pseudo sister and like BFF. And then we have Emmett Williams, Grace's boyfriend. And those are the names that you will see throughout. There is one other character who I don't want to name because they are very important, but they're also mentioned in the beginning of the book, but they don't really come back much until the end. So again, that might be a spoiler. Bear with me, I guess. So for the plot synopsis, and this is just ripped from the back of the book, like I typed this out word for word. When Aster North escapes his controlling ex-boyfriend, he seeks refuge at his family's cabin in the Colorado mountains with his best friend, who unknowingly invited her boyfriend along. He soon comes to realize that they are not alone. Someone is lurking in the shadows, stalking the woods, and taunting them at every turn. Haunted by the memory of his brother who went missing 2 years prior, he finds himself face to face with an axe-wielding maniac who's been squatting on his family property. With every choice he makes, Aster seals the fate of not only his life, but the lives of those he loves and loathes, including his ex, who claims his brother is alive and well. Interwoven between this winter and the last, Aster discovers that monsters he feared as a child, the thieves, murderers, and liars, are closer to home than he thought. If only Aster could remember what happened last winter, because if he isn't careful, it just might happen again. So, all in all, pretty short and snappy. I like this. I will go into deeper thoughts later, but let's move on to tropes. So there's a couple here. There's obviously the cabin in the woods, isolated in a remote area. I mean, it's a cabin in the Colorado mountainside. They don't have cell phone signal. They don't have an easy way of escape. It's the winter, and so there's snow. It's mostly undrivable, It's also a non-linear story, as the synopsis kind of describes, interwoven between what happened last winter and this winter, The story is revealed in small pieces as it bounces back and forth between the last winter and the present. And then there's trauma. There's a fuck ton of trauma. So if you're not into that, or if you're not into being sad, I guess, it's not a sad tale per se, but it's not I wouldn't call this a very happy ending, So let's go get specifically into my thoughts and the rankings, and some of these spicy scenes won't apply, but I just gave it a middling 3-star because it's, it's there, but not really, if that makes sense. So for the plot, I give it a solid 5 stars. I was hooked Every word, every twist, every turn, I was like, ooh, what's happening next? What else are we going to get into? Not to spoil too much, but I did have issues following the plot. I had to really like read this carefully, and we'll get into that in the next one of the bullets. I think the writing styles when I touch on this more. The characters, though, also a 5-star. It's just something about, like, it's a very small cast of characters, but you get to know them very well throughout the book. Obviously focusing on Aster primarily, but the rest of them, Grace, Emmett, Everett, Kyle Everett, Tom, you get an idea of who they are and what their life was like, and it's gripping. The character work in this is great. The writing style, though, for me, the back and forth, I would forget what chapter I was in if I was reading last winter or this winter, because the chapter titles are last winter or current today, time, whatever. But I would forget like halfway through and be like, am I reading the past or am I reading the current day? I can't tell. And I think that it worked for the plot, like it helped the plot out. But for me, like it was a difficult book to get through. And I mean that with all the love, because I adored the characters and I adored the story. It is a great mystery. But for me, it's so hard when it's set in the same place to differentiate what is the past and what is the present. And I don't know if that was intentional. It very well might have been. I am not the author. But for me, I had a very hard time of remembering where we are in the timeline of events to say. It gets better at the end as it's a little bit more snappier, but the overall like reading of it, it took me a long time to get through because I would have to go back and, okay, I'm middle of this chapter. Are we in the past? Nope. I'm in the present. Okay, that recolors everything I just read. I have to go back and figure out what actually fucking happened. And then spicy scenes, I did give it a middling 3. There is some sexual tension, if you will. It's very, very minimal, but it is nice because it does have an impact on the plot. And it's not, this isn't a gay romance book, as I said at the top. This is very much a mystery book, and it's very outside my wheelhouse because I'm much more into murder mystery, like Agatha Christie and stuff. Hercule Poirot and like Sherlock Holmes and those kind of like, you know, great detectives, if you will. But having this be as a narrative based on a protagonist and have it be their recollection was fascinating to read. But overall, I would say this book, a solid 4 out of 5. While not my favorite book that I've read by far, I love the plot and I love the characters. I love the family dynamics of this book leaps and bounds. There's a lot to say about the family dynamics here, and I don't want to get into it, but it's a wonderful, wonderful, like, isolated character analyzing or family analyzing or, like, you know, yeah, character or family analyzing kind of book. And the title, There's Nothing Left for Us Here, I mean, it just, the title alone gripped me, because I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing left for us here? What do you mean, Chance McGuire, that there's nothing left for us here? You know, like, what does that mean? And then you read the book and you understand what that means. So I would say, again, highly, highly recommended. It's a wonderful read. For me, I struggled with it, but might be a me thing. I very much, if it is in the past, I'm from fan fiction, and it has to be formatted for me to understand it. And if I'm in the middle of a chapter and I'm like, is this the past? It's a me thing. And I would also say it's because it's the same basic cast of characters, if you will, from the past to the present, if you will, then that also didn't help me because it's the same fucking people, you know? It's just a me thing. But anyway, I would recommend this for sure. If you're a fan of mysteries and, you know, aren't too much into the gay romance subgenre or gay romance genre at all, definitely worth a read. Definitely worth a read. So as far as recommendations, this is hard for me because it's not a gay romance novel. I can't recommend all of the gay romance novels that I have sitting to my right. So I decided, let's go a little wild today. So if you're into mystery, let's go Agatha Christie. Cards on the Table has nothing to do with the setting, nothing to do with this kind of plot. I read this on a summer vacation, if you will, when we were camping, and I fucking loved it. I love Agatha Christie. She is the queen of mystery. She is the best mystery writer in my personal opinion. I love her. And I cannot recommend this book enough. It's a Hercule Poirot mystery. I'm going to butcher his name. I'm not French. But if you are into romance, I figured let's have a fun play on words. Let's read Cabin Fever by Brigham Vaughn because, hey, it's a cabin, right? And, hey, this isn't a cabin. So it's thematically tied. That's how I essentially equated the two. So those are my two recommendations. A very much a wild card for me. And Cabin Fever is pure, like, romance smut. Like, so it's a lot to, like, suggest. But I'm hoping Chance McGuire writes more because I really want to learn more. Not necessarily about the storyline, but I just want more. You know, I'm a glutton. I want more always. So I have a Patreon. I have a Patreon now. Thank you, Potato Kingdom, for your generous donation, if you will, a subscription to my Patreon campaign. I appreciate you so much, friend. And yeah, I am so thankful. And also, I am sorry. I did not honor your request of the font, so in this case, I'm going to make a change real time. I am going to find a font for you that has a line through the 0, and I don't know if I will have one on this thing, and I'm hoping I will. There we go. Potato Kingdom. There you go, Potato. I hope you enjoyed. I am sorry I didn't set that up beforehand. I kind of spaced it this morning. I was doing something else, and it's still not done yet, but it's uploading, so we'll see. But for those of you who are looking to find me elsewhere on the internets, you can find me here. I stream every night on Twitch. I am at twitchtv.tv/SharadaSky. I stream 7 nights a week. I am also on Twitter. If you want to hear my unhinged thoughts or me bitching about my jobs, go to follow me on Twitter. And if you like what I do and want to support me in any way, shape, or form, I have a Patreon. There's no requirement. I will always upload these to YouTube fairly short after. The early access thing is at most going to be maybe a day or two beforehand as I try and get them uploaded on Saturdays. And they usually go up on early access, if you will, on Wednesdays. So again, you know, I just want to make it worthwhile to your guys' time. You guys can recommend me books. You guys can vote in polls and tell me what book to review and read next. So yeah, I appreciate you guys hanging out, and I hope you enjoy this a little shorter review. I didn't really want to go into too much spoilers because, again, I think this book is best experienced by yourself, which is a rarity. But again, it's a mystery in my opinion. It's like Cards on the Table. I wouldn't review that, but I wanted to review this because it's such a good book and it deserves more praise, and I fully stand by that. So I wish you all the best. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and hopefully you're not dying in the summer heat like I am. Much love, my friends, and we'll talk soon. Enjoy your reading.